Got some pink and yellow. We're all kind of a little bit spring.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the May 10th, 2022 regular meeting of the Everett Public School Board of Directors to order. The closed captioning disclaimer is on your screen for those that are zooming in or who are on Zoom. Please take this time to read it for those that are online. Thank you very much. We shall now move to item 2.0, which is our land acknowledgement. And Director Caroline Mason will present the land acknowledgement for this evening's meeting.
Thank you, President Lassane. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Coast Salish, Snohomish, and Tulalip peoples. We express our deepest respect and gratitude to the ancestors of this land, on whose shoulders we stand. In Everett Public Schools, we strive to create equitable outcomes and build a culture of inclusive belonging for all students, teachers, staff, and our community.
Thank you, Director Mason. Moving now to section 3.0, that's our flag salutes. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move to section 4.0, which is roll call. Will the secretary please call the roll?
President Lassane.
Present.
Vice President Mitchell.
Present.
Director Nichols.
Present.
Director Mason.
Present.
Director Berg.
Present.
Student Representative Colley.
Present.
Student Representative Pilch-Basson.
Thank you. Our first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. Dr. Saltzman, would you mind introducing the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and to the public this evening. Tonight's agenda contains the following: a segment for recognitions, the superintendent's report, segment for board comments, segment for public comments, segment for routine business, segment for information discussion, segment for new business, segment for upcoming agenda items. Since publishing the agenda, the following changes were made to the agenda. Item 8.01, Superintendent's Report. The presentation was added and updated with an additional slide. Item 10.02, Approval of the Personnel Report. The report was updated. Item 14.01, Adoption Increase of Appropriations and Capital Projects Fund for Fiscal Year 2021-2022. The Capital Projects Fund Report was added. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Saltzman. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a
Second. Sorry.
It's been moved by Director Mason and seconded by Director Mitchell to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The motion carries. The agenda for this evening is adopted. We'll now move to section 6.01, which is recognitions, and we have a special recognition for this evening. Mr. Fleckenstein.
Well, yes, we do. And President Lassane, Vice President Mitchell, Board of Directors, student representatives, and Dr. Saltzman. Each year, the National Association of Elementary School Principals recognizes one assistant principal from each state who exemplifies excellence in educational leadership. It is my pleasure this evening to recognize Mill Creek Elementary Assistant Principal Kristen Dickert as the recipient of the National Outstanding Assistant Principal Award for the state of Washington. And Kristen, why don't you come on up? So this is where we say great things about her. Kristen was selected to represent the state of Washington nationally by the Association of Washington School Principals. Kristen is a true professional and class act. and she has the utmost respect of her colleagues and peers, and I am proud to be working with her. To provide the board some more information and detail about what makes Kristen such a great and outstanding educational leader in Everett Public Schools, I'd like to invite Mill Creek Elementary Principal Brenda Fugelvand up to the lectern.
Thank you, Larry. It is truly my honor to introduce Kristen Dickert to you, and hopefully you will come to know her like I do as an outstanding educator, a great friend, and an advocate for kids. Education is in Kristen's family. You can see that tonight. Her husband, Lou, is here. Lou is an administrator in the North Shore District, Lou. Her twins, Matthew and Sophie, are also here. Matthew's an athlete at Jackson High School right now on the baseball team. Matthew, glad you're here. And you're going to hear from Sophie later. Sophie is on the leadership team at the student council. So you're going to hear from Sophie later. So you can see that education is important. They're here because of Kristen's family leadership. Civics in education is really important to Kristen. Kristen has been a principal, so she knows that job. She's an assistant principal because she's chosen that as her career. She wants to work in her community and she wants to work with kids. So she's spent significant hours working with students at Mill Creek to advance their leadership. She has fifth graders. Every fifth grader is assigned to a leadership role of their choosing somehow. She has the tour guides. Anytime a new student enrolls and comes to school, there will be 2 or 3 students that tour the family around the campus, introduce them to everyone. She has reading buddies, students who give up their recess time to go work with younger students. My favorite's the Big Cat Crew. We're the Mill Creek Cougars. So these big cats do anything we want them to. Recently, they helped gather food for a food drive. It was really fun right before Christmas. The big cats organized the lost and found by color so that it would be easy for parents to find their lost items. So she also has a poster team that creates posters for any activity that we have here at school, and that's all under Kristen's leadership. Kristen is an advocate for instruction. She's constantly looking at our school improvement goals, saying, let's stay the course, let's stay the course. If we continue to do what we plan to do, we will get great results. And she's just truly an advocate for kids. When we were presenting the award to Kristen one afternoon in a 5th grade class, I asked the kids if they thought Mrs. Dickert was deserving of this award, and of course they were. And I asked if anyone had comments, and nearly every student raised their hand. What we heard from kids at that time was, she listens to us, she cares about us. And one in particular student who I see in Kristen's office frequently said, she helps me solve my problems. So it's a tribute to Kristen that this little girl now knows these are her problems that she's working through. But I think one of the greatest comments was at the end of the day when we had announced to everyone that Mrs. Dickert was the best principal in the state, assistant principal in the state of Washington. One student that has autism came racing down to the office and wanted his picture taken with Mrs. Dickert. And he ran out, he grabbed Mom's phone, came back into the office, had his picture with Kristen, and then he walked away with, I have my picture with someone important. And we thought, yep, Kristen's a rock star, and Tanner's got his picture with one. So Kristen is very, very deserving of this award, and it couldn't have gone to anyone who's doing a better job. So thank you, Kristen, for everything you do for us.
Thank you so much. I feel honored and humbled and so grateful for several things. The first being Brenda, the principal I've had the pleasure of working with for the last 6 years. It's wonderful to have a boss who supports you and who sees your strengths. And she's done that for me since the day I started. I also feel grateful to work in a school district that thinks systemically, offers a strong focus on climate and culture and systems and instruction. And Dr. Saltzman, I have to thank you and the whole cabinet for putting these things in place, because it makes it easier for me in the building to do my job. I firmly believe that no school can be a great school unless every single person, whether they're 5 or 75, feels seen, valued, heard, and connected. And that is the main focus of my work, every single minute of every day. And there are challenges that come with that. But at the end of each day, I feel like I've been of service, and I feel the weight of the work and the value of it, and gives me a sense of purpose. And I feel so privileged to make the impact in this district, in our school, and in my community that I live. As Brenda said, community leadership is important to me. So I feel like I found the perfect job. And even on the hardest days, I feel truly blessed that I get to do this work. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. And you have my commitment that I will work as hard as I possibly can and do my best until I can't do it anymore. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Don't leave. Okay. We have, on behalf of the board, I would like to present to you the Certificate of Recognition for being honored with the National Outstanding Assistant Principal for Washington State from the National Association of Elementary School Principals. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Would you like a picture with your family? Yeah, would you like a picture with your
Our family? Come on, Brenda.
Yeah.
Come up here.
Come on up, have the family come up.
We don't bite hard, so come on up.
Great. That's what you need to stop. All right. You're great. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll move to section 7.0, which is our superintendent's report. Dr. Saltzman?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and to the public. First of all, Kristen and Brenda, the dynamic duo, and a very deserving award. And to your family, you cannot do this without your family's support. So thank you. And as a parent of twins, I know how hard you work, a little extra. So you do with grace and dignity, and we thank you for that. Your leadership in that award is well deserving. And just publicly, I'd like to say to your principal, who's retiring in June, Brenda, we will miss you. Okay, truly. And what a great night to look out here and see students. Oh my God, is my heart just, we've had breakfast together this year, and it's so good to see you live and not with pancakes and coffee. So good to see you all, and thank you for coming. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. My God, we could not do this work without our teachers. Just having you with us through the past few years has been amazing, but being a teacher that I am now and being a teacher that I always will be, I thank you for all your great work. I'd like all teachers in this room to please stand. Please stand. If you are a teacher, please stand. And May 11th is National School Nurses Day. My gosh, our nurses, what you've endured for the past 36 months is unbelievable. And I can't thank you enough for staying the course with us. And thank you for keeping our kids healthy and safe. So to our nurses, thank you for everything. National leaders at Emerson Elementary recently celebrated Children's Day. Our parent groups, along with our natural leaders and staff, are hosting many multicultural events across the district. So much pride in sharing these different cultures with music, food, stories, and more. I sat with a WOBS group last week, and they said our natural leaders are #1 in the state of Washington. So to our natural leaders and to that organization, thank you for all that you do. The Everett High School students participated in the Regional Apprenticeship Pathway Girls Build event. Students were invited to learn about the trades, hear from women in the trades, take part in hands-on projects taught by local skilled trade workers. Students in RAP RAP can earn high school and college credit. And when I was talking to some legislators the other day, they mentioned that our students participated at the Everett High female leaders. So thank you. Gosh, I don't know who's counting, but do you realize a month from now, 2022 graduating class will take place. And again, I want to thank all the seniors out there for working so hard. When I talked to the ASB leaders, they told me there was no such thing as senioritis when I asked them at our January breakfast. So thank you for staying that course, leaders. But to our pre-K and our kindergarten through elementary and middle school, to all the way through high school, you helped those kids get across the stage. So to our teachers and students, I'm looking forward to commencement. It is the crown jewel of public education. Okay, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Social emotional learning and good mental health are crucial for a well-balanced life. We have created Connecting Counselor video series, which may help guide and support those in need. Please go to our homepage and learn more. I want to say this to everybody in our public. We must continue to listen to our students and listen to each other. Stay healthy mentally, exercise, and care for each other. We're a community that loves each other and cares for each other, and let's continue doing that. I want to thank you again for coming out this evening, student leaders, and let's make it a great evening. Thank you.
Dr. Saltzman. We'll now move to section 8.0, which is our board comments. The purpose of board comments is to share what directors and representatives have been encountering during their work in the district, in schools, as well as in the community as it pertains to the board work. We'll try and keep our comments brief so that we can move on to the next ones, and we will do our best not to share personal information, but just to highlight some of the things that keep us busy in our work as a board member. So, board members, who would like to go first?
I'll go first and we'll just go this way since we don't have students. Oh, no, Binta, go first.
Okay. Okay. As we reflect back, this has been a great year, just slowly coming to an end. Everyone's being safe and respectful as we're watching the virus. We just had prom on April 30th, which went super well, and we have senior ball coming up. And as Dr. Saltzman has mentioned, the class of 2022 graduation is coming up on June 18th. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to say that there were several of us at the Community Resource Center open house. What a great new service for our families in transition. And just, you know, it's up at Hawthorne. It is small, but very mighty. And I heard some wonderful stories about what we're doing for kids in our district and met some of the community partners. So just, you know, wonderful work going on in our district. This is one of my favorite meetings of the year, honestly, seeing the ASB leaders here. Just so you all know, if it helps you relax a little, we really are here to support you. We are not here to grade you. So just so you know, this is a time for you guys to really shine in your best ways. And that I guess I was the last of the board members to meet with an organization that's calling themselves Green Schools. And I really think this is something we need to talk about more at our summer workshop. but just great opportunities of maybe getting rid of natural gas in it's going to be a requirement in the state, but how do we help that in our schools, and how do we get students and staff involved in the effort? So thank you.
Just briefly, congratulations again to Assistant Principal Dickert. What a huge accomplishment. I am also looking forward to the ASB presentations. One reminder for us as a board is that as of June 1st, the Open Public Meetings Act is changing, and it's just codifying some of the things we're already doing, like making sure that we have a public comment section, making sure that we have access to folks or public access and a physical location, and codified a few things. And that's going into effect June 1st. And that's about all I have on the legislative front.
Director Mason.
I don't have any comments, but I do also want to just reiterate what a great meeting this is for us directors to have so many students in-house here and presenting. It is truly one of our favorite meetings, so thank you.
And yeah, same, I want to keep my comments brief, but I do want to thank not only the students for making that milestone of graduation, but also our staff that has been so instrumental in getting them there. This season is all about the students and student success and progress, but I will tell you, as a parent of a senior, I know that there's a lot of staff behind it, and I just want to shout out to Jackson High staff as our household was going through prom dress negotiations, of which I did not come out on top, just so you know. They got an email came from, actually a text message came from the school saying, please check your email, parents. And I love the fact that we communicate so well with our parents, especially as seniors. And so I immediately stopped the negotiations, checked my email, and simply stated that the most important dress that she's going to wear this year is actually at her school and be available for pickup this Friday. And of course, that's her cap and gown. And so that kind of took a little bit of the pressure down a little bit, because we could focus on what was really important in this moment, which was that milestone, and that gets us to high school and beyond. So thank you, staff, for all that you're doing in this moment, and of course, thanking our students for making it to this great milestone.
Thank you very much, Director Berg. I would also like to congratulate Ms. Dickert, because I hear that you make math fun. And I think that is so wonderful, because at this particular point in time, our students need to know that math is really fun. And so I thank you for what you do there at Mill Creek. And I just, in general, just want to say thank you so much. I also had the opportunity to attend the high school art show, which was held here at the CRC. A lot of our students' art is still on display. And for those who haven't had the opportunity to peruse the corridors, my suggestion is that you take time to see the expressive and talented works of our students. You know, our students learn through so many things, and art is one of those things that it helps them observe things, interpret things, and see different perspectives. And so this is one of the better parts, I think, of what we do here at Everett Schools. We give them the arts. Art and music is so very, very valuable. I would also like to take time to thank our students for expressing their voices against sexual assault and harassment. Our aim here is to develop students with critical thinking skills and communication skills, collaborative skills, and creative skills. And it shows. Tonight is one of those ways in which it shows, and it's also a way in which students voice their dislike or definitely against sexual assault and harassment. It shows that they are being developed. We value our students, we respect our students, and we respect the treatment of respect from one another through each of our students. I, for one, will continue to work collaboratively with our administrators and each and every one of our students and our board, so that your voices, students, are heard, and that we eliminate all feelings and actions associated with harassment of all kinds. I do understand that our school system is part of the greater community system, and this is not a one-time fix-it thing. This is a long-term, ongoing process that we need for our school as well as our community to overcome these challenges. And I promise you, as a board, we will continue to work with the administrators and with you so that your voices are heard. Yeah, thank you. We'll now move to public comments. It's a special time in the board meeting in which we leave open for our public to speak with us. And tonight, there are no requests for comments. So we'll move on to section 10.0, and that is the consent agenda. Dr. Saltzman, would you provide an introduction to the consent agenda for this evening?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and to the public this evening. The board's consent agenda includes repetitive business items such as meeting minutes, personnel actions, expense vouchers, surplus lists, gifts, grants, and recurring contracts. Sometimes it includes items that occur less frequently but are of a routine business nature. These items are usually reviewed by the board in the Friday report, 1 or more weeks before the board meeting. This gives directors time to ask staff questions or to consider a discussion about the policy implications of those items. The board votes on the consent agenda in a single motion. By its definition, a consent agenda is not debatable. In the case of this agenda, the superintendent's office received no questions regarding the consent agenda. The consent agenda is presented and published for board approval.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saltzman. A motion to adopt the consent agenda is in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
It's been moved by Director Nichols and seconded by Director Mitchell to approve the consent agenda. Does any director wish to remove an item from the consent agenda and place it under new business section of this agenda? Hearing no requests, we'll now proceed to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll now move to section 11.0, which is strategic progress monitoring. For this evening, there is no strategic project monitoring report scheduled to come before the board. We'll now move to section 12.0, which is information and discussion, which is our most important meeting of the year. And I see Ms. Ruth Floyd is coming to the podium. I shall turn the control of the meeting over to Ms. Floyd at this time.
Good evening. I know that quite a few of you mentioned how this is one of your favorite board meetings of the year, and I can tell you it is my favorite board meeting of the year. So I'm glad to be here again. And the ASB budget presentations are the culmination of the hard work and dedication of our high school students over the past 3 months to develop the 2022-23 ASB budget with support from their advisors and their principals and other staff at the schools. And these budgets will be combined with the middle school ASB budgets and be adopted as part of our district-wide F195 budget in the summer, during the summer. I believe that's in August. Beyond that, unless you have any questions up front for me, I'd like to introduce Marika Haynes from Sequoia High School to come up and introduce her students.
Could you, just for our knowledge, let us know the order of tonight's presentation so we can pull our presentations up on the screen?
Sequoia will be first, and then Cascade, Jackson, and then Everett High School.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, he's on his way right now. Okay. We have a student from Sequoia who is on his way now, and he would like to take part. Would you mind if we switched up the order?
Oh, that sounds great.
All right.
We would appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So we will have Kelly Rogers, advisor at Cascade, come up, and we will start with Cascade. All right.
Hello, I'm Kelly Rogers, the ASB advisor at Cascade. I'm very proud to introduce my students and give them the opportunity to share the hard work that they did on their budget process. And I also want to point out that how proud I am of them, especially because in the last 24 hours we had to make some significant changes to our presenters due to some injuries and illness. And so again, I'm just so proud of them. They always are willing to step up and support each other in that. And then also, I think especially over the last year and a half, they're always willing to just step up, and when things change the last minute, they're like, no problem, we can do this. And I think all students are showing that now, and I'm just so proud of them for being able to do that at such short notice. So let me introduce to you, we have Binta Balde, our current ASB president, and Amelia Fascini, our current ASB vice president, and Tim Shim, our incoming ASB vice president, and Treven Pham, our incoming treasurer.
Thank you for having us today. We're very welcome to be part of your guys' favorite meeting. And then today we'd like to overview what we'll be going over today. Today we'll go over the 2022-23 ASB budget, which will go over the revenues and expenditures, and then also the breakdowns of both of them, and then also the comparison of our fund balances. Secondly, we'd like to go over the budget development, which will go over the process of over the ASB budget, and also the distribution of our revenue. And then lastly, we'll go over the Asb Snapshot, which will go over our major fundraising events, club events and activities, community service projects, and especially our points of pride, and we'll also be telling you guys suggestions for our future. And then I'd like to invite Amelia to present the first part.
I'm just going to let all the students know really quick that microphone is very, very powerful, so you don't have to bend down. It'll catch a 6-foot-tall student.
Thank you. I'll be going over our 2022-23 ASB budget. So for our 2022-23 budget revenues, we have an estimated beginning fund balance of $265,220. We have an estimated total revenues of $652,530 and an estimated total available resources of $802,816. And you may notice the difference between our 2021 general student body and and clubs with our 2022-23. There's been a significant shift. This is due to projected band and choir field trip, which we had budgeted into our general student body for the 2021-22 school year. And in the 2022-23 school year, we budgeted into our clubs into their budgets so they can focus on fundraising and keep it in order for the next year. And now onto our 2022-23 budget expenditures. We again have an estimated total available resources at $802,816. We have an estimated total expenditures at $672,421. and an estimated ending fund balance at $245,329. Again, you'll see the difference between the general student body and club accounts, and this is due to the projected band and choir field trip. And onto our 2022-23 budget breakdowns. Although our percentages are not exact, you can see that the money we bring into the accounts, we're planning to spend out of each account, with the exception of athletics, which is due to our budget process. At the beginning of the year, we transfer money from the general account into athletics based on the amounts we were given at the end of the year. We'll go over this more in budget development process. And of course, you can see that the clubs takes up the majority of the graph, and this is once more due to the projected band and choir field trip. And now I will pass it off to Treven with our fund balance comparison.
Thanks, Amelia. So now I'd like to go over our 2022-23 budget fund balance. For our 2022-23 budget, we are anticipating that we'll have an ending fund balance of $245,329. As you may notice, there has been a consistent decrease in our fund balance across all our accounts for the past 2 years. So with the exception of our graduating classes, we are hoping that our incoming juniors and seniors get an increase in fund balance through fundraisers, which will be able to pay for their events like senior ball and senior tea. Now, during our current year, because our juniors and seniors lost 2 years of fundraising, our ASB reserves were used to offset the costs of these events, and so we would like to get our class officers back to the point where they can fund themselves again. Now, next we have our budget development, where we'll be going over our ASB budget process and revenue distribution. So for our ASB process, in our general ASB accounts, we factored in House Bill 1660 and focused on how it would impact our revenues based off of numbers from previous years. We anticipate that we'll have a 50% reduction in revenues because of the House bill. For our clubs accounts, we held a meeting with club advisors and student reps to talk about the House bill and what it implies. We provided them with a list of past fundraisers and the amounts that they brought in so that they could find ways of raising money in ways that would not be affected by the House bill. For our athletics accounts, our coaches and teams projected their fundraisers and expenses, gave them to the athletic director, then we look over those numbers to then create their budgets. For our revenue distribution in our 2022 to 23 budget, we estimate $31,350 in general ASB revenue for activities and athletics. Now, I would like to point out that we have a significant decrease in revenue in our ASB and ID cards when we look at our 2021 to 22 budget compared to our 2022 to 23 budget. That is due to the House bill, and we plan on countering this loss in revenue through, yet again, contacting our clubs and athletics and asking them to fundraise more, especially with fundraisers that have that don't involve admissions. Like, for example, one year our soccer, they had fundraising involving selling popcorn, which brought in about $6,000, which was, that's just one of the examples of like some of the fundraisers that we can do. Tangible items, like selling tangible items, that is our plan to counter our loss in revenue. So with that, I would like to hand it off to Binta to go over our priorities for revenue distribution.
Thank you. So for our revenue distribution, our priorities were funding the big community building, school-wide events open to all students. For example, Homecoming and Tolo. Those were known as our biggest events at Cascade and always have been. Those events did cost more than they brought in, but we felt like that was necessary, especially coming from a pandemic year. It was necessary for the schools to have those traditions built in and experience those type of events that we love to throw. With that being said, we did set aside funding for athletic contingencies like uniforms and equipment, and also set aside funding for clubs to cover things like Tyra magazine printing and state trips. Now I'll be talking about our Asb Snapshot. So most of our fundraising came from ASB cards this year. As I said prior, all of our focus was on building back that connection. 2 generations of our students do not know a lot of our traditions. So we did price all of our events to either break even or run at a loss, which again, we felt was very much so worth it. With that being said, clubs and sports did have many successful fundraisers. For example, the wreath fundraiser was held by sophomore class, and cheer held a car wash fundraiser. Our clubs and activities this year did take a little while to get back on their feet, obviously from being online, but we did have some very successful events. We had our annual Bob Ross night that leadership has held for a while. Black Student Union held a movie night, and German Club held Oktoberfest. Another event that's not on the slide, which some of you guys may have attended, was our second annual Multicultural night. It was an amazing big event that all the students attended. It doubled our last one that we had in 2019. And it was a fun night full of food, dance, everything. On to our community service projects. We did have our 60th annual food drive this year. We brought in $11,337, as well as over 40,000 cans, which coming from a year where 2 generations of students have never been in the food drive before, we felt like was a big improvement, and we almost matched a regular year that we would have had. We also held Fun Fest, which was a very safe trick-or-treating environment that we held for the children in our community that, again, was very successful. And then HOSA held a blood drive. Some points of pride that we had. Our biggest thing for me personally, I really enjoyed this, was the homecoming Bruin royalty change. We switched up our whole way of doing the homecoming court to make it more inclusive. So we had 2 different versions of the royalty. We had Spirit captains and we had Bruin royalty, which was random royalty. So every student, unless they opted out, was into the drawing to run for royalty. And then every day there was different non-skill based activities that would narrow it down. And the final 4, I believe, were announced at the homecoming game. So we felt like that change did bring a little bit of controversy, but we felt like it was necessary. And with homecoming being so early in our school year, we felt like voting on students was not the best thing to do. And then we also had TOLA, which again was one of our big successful events. It's one of our non-formal events. And the students really enjoyed that. It was received very positively. Our leadership class held a lot of campus cleanup efforts. There was a lot of online trends that was persuading students to vandalize our school. So our leadership took charge and went to go clean up our campus ourselves, and also did different lunchtime activities like spin the wheel if you throw away a piece of trash. And it persuaded a lot of the students to start cleaning, and it really did work, surprisingly. We also had Bruin Spotlights, which is where we highlight any student for just being a Bruin. They don't have to be in clubs, athletics, they don't have to be that involved. We just highlighted them for just being there, which is something that we've done for years and we continue to keep going. Some suggestions for the future. We do need to do more school-wide fundraising. Again, due to the House bill, we will need to come together, our clubs and activities, to try to counteract that difference in money that we normally would have to what we project we're gonna have. So different fundraising events, again, like Trivan said, that does not involve admission. A big thing that we really enjoyed was involving more students in decisions. So this year, because we did not have many STUCO or Senate meetings, we didn't have any actually. For different events, we had Google Forms sent out where students can pick the themes for different dances. For example, homecoming, we sent out a poll and they picked the theme of it and we went with what the student body wanted. In a normal year, we would have STUCO and Senate meetings where we would hear all of the student voices there. We do want to focus on community and tradition building. Obviously, the year did start off slower than we would have expected with COVID. So still, some of the traditions are not fully built into most students. So we do want to focus on putting those Bruin traditions back in. And then mini events to raise pride. A big thing that we focused on, rather than having a whole bunch of our big events like homecoming and Tolo, was the mini, like, costless events. Like we had Mario Kart at lunch. We had like a spring egg hunt. A big thing was last week we had karaoke that was supposed to be one day and ended up being the entire week because the students loved it so much. And yeah, all those mini events really raise the pride at our school. I'll now open the floor for questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation. What an outstanding job all of you've done. So I will now turn to my directors and see what questions we may have for you.
I guess I don't have questions, but I did attend your homecoming. I attended all 3 high schools' homecomings because my husband and I love attending the games. And I was so impressed with how you guys did your court. I think it was probably the most diverse court. It was probably the biggest court, but just the inclusiveness of it, I felt was just outstanding. So great job to you and the rest of your leadership team. And just want to compliment you on the clean campus. We really did struggle with the vandalism that was being promoted and the fact that it sounds like you took an active lead in countering that. Very, very strong skills. And I have a question more for the leaders here. It is impacting all 4 schools, but I was a free and reduced lunch kid, and you get to high school and it's like, no, I can have $2 to buy my lunch so nobody knows. But how do we make sure that the kids who are free and reduced lunch, who might not own up to it, do get their free ASB versus somehow finding the money to pay for it so that they can get is that something the counselors are working on? And do we know how we're going to navigate that next year? And so that's not really for you, but I think it's something that maybe if that can come back to us, because we want to be able to support the kids that need to be supported, as well as to support you guys as you're providing all of these events. But that's a request that if somebody can get it back to us, because I want to make sure all the kids are, they get the benefits they deserve. So thank you. You guys did a great job. And you were ready to come on before Sequoia because that Sequoia kid arrived, and that's what we want. So thank you for that.
Any other directors?
I just want to say thank you. What a great presentation. Really enjoyed it. You guys did a great job.
You guys did a great job focusing on, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to clap. I just felt like I just
2 years of challenges, as you probably know, for you to come up and say, we're going to focus on community and tradition building and raising pride. That's very important in the next 2 years, 3 years, because some kids, as you mentioned before, generations have never been and haven't seen what we've done through a food drive or whatever. And then the focus in on how to get that pride back in and build it. That's an awesome job. Thank you so much for your presentation. You did an awesome job. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have, I'll invite Bethany Stoddard up from Jackson High School. She will introduce the students from Jackson. I will.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm so excited to announce our ASB leadership. Before I do, though, I just want to give a shout out to Jason Gaddick, who is our advisor who could not be here tonight. He has worked just as hard as these kids have on all things ASB, in particular this budget. And also a big shout out to Ruth. Thank you so much for your communication and just patience with someone, me, brand new to the world of ASB. Been a super great help. So come on, don't be shy. All right. All right, so I have our current ASB president, Rowan Alakali, and then our current treasurer, Dylan Thong, and then incoming president, Sophie Dickert, and then incoming treasurer, Colton Anderson. So take it away.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mrs. Stoddard. And yeah, let's just get right into it. It's an honor to present in front of you guys in person. I was here last year and Zoom just was not the same. Right, so for our overview, we're going to be going over our ASB budget, the budget development process, and my favorite part is the ASB Snapshot. I'm sure that's your guys' favorite part too. As you can see, here's our ASB family photo in our matching outfits that we took just a few months ago.
So I will be introducing to you guys our 2022-2023 ASB budget. I'm pretty much just going over revenues, expenditures, and the breakdown of these things. So to begin with, our beginning fund balance for the 2022-2023 school year will be $259,771, and our total revenues is projected to be $703,801. And as you just look across our table here, I can soundly say that Jackson High School has pretty well recovered from most of the effects from COVID, where you can see in the 2020-2021 school year, the revenue total of $154,000 was we almost got 5 times that amount last school year, and we're planning to continue that growth going forward next year. While we're not earning a higher revenue, we are still earning a sufficient amount to cover every single student we have. And as you can see, the majority of our revenue comes from our clubs, which account for most of the extracurricular activities our students do at school.
And so this 50.7%, as you can see in the revenues, is carried forward into the 50.7% of the clubs in our expenditures, so our total available resources is $963,572, and the total expenditures is $706,081. There we go. And the 50.7% from the clubs from revenue is carried forward into our expenditures, which is really showing that so these clubs are earning the most money for our school. And as a result, our role as ASB is to allow these students to really reap the benefits that they really produce themselves. So by really spending this money going forward onto them once again next year, it's showing how we're really giving them the best high school experience that they deserve. And this expenditure total, while it decreased from last year, is still once again a sufficient amount to really offer all our students the best high school experience that they can have. And then so here is just a quick breakdown of our revenues. And so you can see our clubs really account for the majority, 15.7% of our revenues. And once again, the exact same 50.7% in our expenditures.
Okay, for our 2022-2023 fund balance comparison, we can look at the 2020 and 2021 school year. We can see that our ending fund balance was quite a bit higher than the current year. And this is because of COVID. We weren't able to spend most of the money that we had on the clubs and on the general student body. When we look into it for the 2021-2022 school year, which was this school year, we can see that we were able to spend more of that money, which got our ending fund balance back down, and we project it to be similar for the 2022-23 school year. Our budget development process was we would have each club, sport, and activity, they'd submit their budget plan and any requests for revenue to the ASB in March. And as a group, we'd get together with our advisors, we would go over all of this. We would clarify the submissions, whether we wanted to accept or change these proposals to fit the budget. Assuming this budget was approved, we would send it to the assistant principals and the secretary, and then the clubs or athletics would be notified. And then if we did want to make any changes to it, we would ask the questions, we would clarify these answers, and they could submit it for approval again if this was needed. Our ASB budget development process and revenue distribution. Looking at revenue distribution, one of the big moneymakers for us was the ASB and ID cards. During the 2020-2021 school year, we didn't sell these as much, which is why our ASB revenue was about half as much as it was this current year and what we projected to be next year. Dances this year was also quite a bit higher than normal, probably because this was our first year back with first actual dances. So we had a lot more students going. We project this to go down a little bit next year, but it's still going to stay relatively around the same amount for our overall revenue. Our revenue distribution process was we would have club, sports, or activities. They'd contact the secretary, and they would schedule a reserve transfer proposal to come into the ASB office in the morning. They'd have their officers make a presentation and present what they wanted, whether it be for funds to start a club or funds for a trip. They'd present this to us. As a class, we would look at the current budget of this club and their involvement in the school, and then decide whether we wanted to approve or decline or make any changes to their proposal. And then based on our decision, we report it to the treasurer and ASB secretary, who would then tell the club what our final decision was.
All right, moving on to our ASB Snapshot and covering all the things that we were able to do this year. So starting off, fundraising, I'd like to continue off of what Cascade was saying about this year wanting to build traditions, but also something that we talked about really starting over the summer with our group and trying to continue throughout the year is building new traditions. We felt like this year was a clean slate, and because so many students didn't know what we do, we decided, okay, now is the time to kind of step back from some things that we've been wanting to lean away from a while and just kind of go in a new direction and go based off of what our students' actual needs are in the moment and kind of just like listening. So we did take a cue from Bob Ross Painting Night from Cascade, and this was back in 2019, I think, that we started that. And it's one of our students' favorite events. It's completely new for us, and people just love to come together, and it really helps build community, not just within our students, but within we have tons of Mill Creek moms, we like to call them, come in with their cookies and tea, and it's just one of our favorite events. And then continuing on that trend, we just had a lot of community events, so like pumpkin painting and game nights and our holiday palooza where you could just watch Home Alone and cookie decorate and decorate ornaments. These are the kinds of things that our students wanted from us this year. It was very relaxed, very chill, just something that they could come to without having to be stressed out or anxious, because Lord knows there was so much other anxiety to worry about. And then we also did continue some of our classic traditions and try to rebuild them. So that means like our Jackson's Got Volleyball, one of our biggest fundraisers of the year. And our Tolo Spring Dance was something we've been trying to plan since before COVID, and it got conveniently cut off right in April. So we finally had that. We were so proud of how it turned out. Some other things that we've done this February, and to clarify, this is not a fundraiser for us, but it did raise funds for the small business, was collaborate with a local minority-owned business in our community, help get them established and get them on their feet by collaborating and creating a T-Wolves top secret menu that lasted the whole month. And we also topped it off with a trivia night at the cafe. So that was adorable. And then some of the things that we do with our clubs and just like our annual things is Oktoberfest, one of our biggest events for the community, has been turned into a drive-through, and we did this last year too, and it's gone flawlessly. And I think I enjoy it even more because we get to see the clubs kind of thrive and create these like beautiful setups. As you can see, Key Club, and that's our newspaper, and down there is theater. We just involve pretty much everybody in the school. They pass out candy to the kids, and everybody drives through, dresses up, and it's honestly my favorite event. And then our holiday hall decorations, we hadn't been able to have in 2 years, and we brought it back strong this year. In the corner, those are our 4 class-themed halls, which is Shrek the Halls, Super Mario, seniors had Candyland, and sophomores had Minecraft. We did hold a vote, and juniors won with Shrek the Halls overwhelmingly. Winter Wishes is something our students really enjoy from us because it's not an event, it's not anything that we're asking from them, it's more just directly giving to them. And it's one of our favorite things to do because it's just like direct wish fulfillment. We held this in January, and it was great because it was right around final season. We spent a lot of money on them. And then for our assemblies this year, the first one that we had that was indoors was our winter pep assembly, and we split upperclassmen and underclassmen. And this was great just to kind of like dip our toes in the water and get them all hyped up and excited about what it could be. And then our spring pep assembly, which we held right before spring break, was our first whole school assembly in forever. And that one was just insane to have everybody like feel like a whole school together. We did pull an April Fool's prank on our school, tell them we were changing the mascot, and it was just like the most hype we felt in our gym in forever. We did things like pie the seniors for their last pep assembly, and we passed out Otter Pops at the end. And then the final thing we're going to be talking about is we've been really focusing on creating community and culture within the classrooms as well, so start small and build big. So for our third period representatives, we've sent out like every once in a while a little class project that they would do, and our most successful one was for March Madness brackets. We had one for both the Women's League and the Men's League. We got a lot of submissions, and it's just a cute opportunity to take away from class time and kind of get to know each other and talk on things that aren't like your AP Calc test. And then down there is just more photos. Sophie?
Thanks, Rowan. Next, we'll be talking about our community service projects. One that we do every year is Henry the Giving Snowman. This is when we inflate a huge snowman around a little fence in our annex. And we put names on the fence this year, and students would grab a name off the fence, go home, take either toy they had or go buy one, and return it back to the fence. And we gave these toys to Jackson and Woodside Elementary during the holiday season. Next is Points of Pride. Like Rowan was saying, we took this year to really start new traditions, and one that we did because we weren't able to have an assembly was a parade. We gathered everybody outside on Homecoming Friday, whatever that is, and everyone lined against the portables in the road, and we had clubs walking through, we had the dance team performing, we had homecoming royalty through, and like Cascade was saying, we also changed our homecoming royalty this year. We made it so kids would get voted in based on their character. People would fill out a Google form and say personality traits that they really are inspired by and people that they think are good leaders and have good qualities at Jackson. And at the end of our parade, those people all gathered up on the field, as you can see in that middle picture, surrounded by the whole school. And I was on homecoming royalty, and we kicked field goals in front of everybody, and we did tug of war, and then everyone voted after that. Another thing we did was the homecoming tailgate. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner, where we had hot dogs. It really just felt like a family event. We had games, carnival games, food, and that led up to the homecoming game. Next was our Jhs Spirit that we had. We were nervous going into this year as we had two generations of students who don't know what Jackson Pride is, what the Timberwolves are, and we were able to really bring that back, especially at football games. Our stands were full. Maybe our football team isn't the best, but our stands were full, even at away games. And it was just a really great community experience. We saw that through our volleyball games, our basketball games. We just had a bunch of support for our robotics team who went to Worlds and placed 3rd in the world. We've just had a lot of Jackson Spirit this year, and that was really great to see. We'd like to say thank you for having us and wonder if you have any questions for us.
Well, let's give them a round of applause. Opportunity to stand in front of such wonderful students. I feel so blessed. Directors, any questions that you may have for Jackson High School?
I do have a question. I was surprised at the revenue from your yearbooks. Do any of you know how much a yearbook costs?
I'm on the yearbook crew this year. It's $55 a piece, which is a little bit on the pricey side, but it is a huge book.
Huge book.
You must have sell quite a few. Thank you. That's my only question. Great job.
So as my daughter graduated in the class of 2020, I was texting her, now that I heard the Bob Ross painting night twice, that maybe her sorority might like to do that because she is a painter. So, but I have a question about the ASB card. I noticed Cascade took down their revenue, but you guys kept it solid. So I'm wondering about that decision to not take it down based on that House bill.
So currently, Cascade and Everett, those two, the percentage of their students on free and reduced lunch is much higher than ours. Ours is down about already at so we're around 25%. And then of those 25%, the majority of those students already do not purchase an ASB card. So therefore, our sales will not take a significant hit, if you will, because the people who will still be required to buy an ASB card will still be buying it next year. And the people who will just have it provided to them, the majority of those really do not purchase ASB cards currently.
But now with this, you will be able to provide them, which is excellent. So I appreciate, thank you for talking through your thinking, because that does help me. And then I was also at your homecoming, and I never thought those fireworks were going to end. That was, I think, longer than a 4th of July show that Everett puts on. So I don't know who funded it, but it was beautiful. So, okay. And just want to recognize this ASB, past ASBs, and the finance department, because you guys are doing an excellent job. I don't know historically if you know how much fund balance Jackson used to carry, and to see you on par with Cascade is really nice to see, because you're not much bigger. So it is just sort of nice to see. So thank you. Great work of your team.
Directors, any other questions? I would also like to thank you. I have one question for you. You also wanted to focus in on building new traditions, and the Bob Ross night, the painting night, that's fantastic. That's really kind of cool. As well as, an opportunity to host more events that just allow kids to chill out, as you mentioned, because these last 2 years have been rather tough and stressed for a lot of our students. And so I do want to applaud you on both of that. I also want to applaud you on the collaborations to support a minority-owned business within your district, your area, to actually focus in what can we do to help you out, as well as to show the relationship or partnership between the high school and that business. That's very good. I wish more people in general would do that to support our businesses. That's really great. Thank you so much for what you did. You had an awesome presentation, and I look forward to hearing about what you've done next year. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next we will bring Sequoia up. Marika, would you like to introduce your students?
Sorry, we need a quick little meeting. Hi, I'm Marika Haynes. So this is my first year as the ASB advisor at Sequoia High School, and my first year in a semi-normal, non-pandemic year. So it's been really a pleasure to get to know the students in a new way. And a huge thank you to Cascade and Jackson for helping us out. And also a huge thank you to Kelly and Drew for helping out today as well. With that, I'd like to let the students introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Xander Doherty. I am a 10th grader. I am the ASB secretary for Sequoia High School.
Hello, I am Melody Hatch. I am a sophomore and I am the ASB treasurer.
Hi, I'm Kareem Bukhari. I'm a 9th grader and I'm here to represent Sustainability Club.
Unfortunately, our ASB president and vice president couldn't make it tonight. They really wanted to, but things happened. This presentation will cover over our ASB budget, our ASB budget development, and our points of pride and snapshots and everything that we really want to just show you guys. Me. This is our ASB budget through 2020 to 2023. As you can see in 2020 to 2021, sorry, we had $9,041. This was, well, because of COVID, you know. In 2021, 2022, this year, we got a grant and we bought shirts for everyone, gave them out for free and everything. It was great. Look at these. We also got the kids free yearbooks, and they're beautiful, honestly. Next year, we plan on giving them shirts again. Maybe they'll get sick of it this time. And we also plan on having a fundraiser for Sustainability Club. This is the expenditures, you know, what we're going to be, our outcome. Last year, once again, COVID, nothing happened. We couldn't really do anything. This year, we got the shirts and books and everything like that. And next year, the fundraising, and they're going to be taking the funds and hopefully going to what, state? Yeah, state. This is the graphs for the breakdowns of the budgets, everything that I just spoke about, but it's in a graph. Look, it's beautiful. This is the fund balance. This is how we balance our funds. We're getting more clubs, so the club budget will be going up. Woohoo! Now I'm going to be handing off the microphone to Melody to talk about budget development.
So basically, we met with Drew, our administrator, to review the budget club proposals and budget proposals. We also met with Drew and our advisor, Marika, and our secretary, Betsy. An interesting fact about Sequoia is that we're very informal, and we call all of our teachers by like a first name basis. And we do this to create like an easier community, and it makes the kids more comfortable with the adults, and I have personally felt more comfortable with the adults. We do not have dances because our school is very small, so we won't have enough people showing up. Instead, we find other ways to feel connected with school-wide activities during advisory class and during lunch. ASB cards are a cost to our students and can cause a divide, so we do not require ASB cards for any of our activities. Our executives reviewed budget proposals from clubs and approved requests. The reason yearbook requested funds is that we did and we plan for everyone to get free yearbooks. This goes back to our main goal in helping everyone feel connected, and we know not everyone can afford a yearbook, so we pay for it out of the general fund. A special thank you to the school board and Dr. Saltzman for the allocation of funds to Sequoia. These funds will help our students continue to have opportunities and experiences to help them feel connected and to have pride in Sequoia by increasing their number and quality of activities and clubs available. And Xander?
Now let's talk about Asb Snapshots. Major fundraisers. We haven't really had a reason to raise funds, but we will absolutely support any club that decides to raise funds. Now I'm gonna introduce, or I guess bring up, Kareem. He is our sustainability representative.
Hello. So two Sequoia students at Sequoia wanted to spread awareness about the environment. So they asked one of their science teachers if they could, or if she could be the advisor for Sustainability Club. Earlier this year, we created the Constitution and bylaws and were voted in as a club at a Senate meeting. We meet on Tuesdays to Thursdays to discuss different ideas about the environment and to discuss about how to become more sustainable and to promote sustainability at our school. This spring, we participated on Envirothon and won second place. And now, later this May, we're gonna participate in state. The ASB Executive Committee have helped support our new club through allocating seed funds, which is allowing us to go to state this year. Next year, we plan to fundraise to be able to attend Envirothon.
We would like to thank Everett Rotary for giving us a grant to provide all of our students with free t-shirts of the school logo. We promote wearing these shirts every Friday as a little spirit day, all the teachers wearing these amazing shirts. It really shows our school identity. Here's some points of pride, what we've done over the year that we are just really proud about. The Sequoia shirts, the yearbooks, everything, we've already talked about that though. The lunchtime activities though, that is a really amazing thing that we have done this year. From the egg hunt, I did that, to doing crafts and Kahoot and bingo. Pretty sure that happened. Wasn't there. Of course, we had Spirit Week. It was an amazing week, let me just say. We had kids showing up in little penguin suits as a day. It was amazing. We had everything but a backpack day. Kid brought in a fan. That was crazy. And it was just an enjoyable week, amazing week, honestly. We also love our Senate meetings, our senators. We want them to just represent their students, and we want them to have as much fun as possible and feel included in the decision-making of Sequoia. We also want to point out the daycare. We support teen moms getting their education because it's kind of hard. So we provide them a daycare for them to just drop off their little kids and pop up to class, write an essay, come back. Like to point out our food drive. That was amazing, honestly. Brought in a bunch of cans, way more than anyone expected. And everything I just talked about, you know. Any questions?
Fantastic presentation, Xander. Directors, are there any questions?
Well, I just want to say that if I heard this right, you're a freshman in the Envirothon, getting second place and
yes.
going to state. I think that's outstanding to be a small and mighty squirrel school to do that, and just really want to congratulate you and your partner and any other student that was part of that and your leadership. And I think that that is something that if there is money that people can give to continue that, I think that's outstanding. So thank you so much for doing that and showing us your award.
Directors, other directors?
Great presentation. I love the part about the Sustainability Club. I think that's something that we're going to be working on as a district a little bit more, and we're going to have to, and we're going to want to also. So it's really great to see that students are actually taking a step forward beyond even our board here, and I just want to congratulate you on that. And then I noticed your fund balance is actually fairly high compared to your expenditures and your revenue, and I would just encourage you to meet with your advisor and talk about, maybe other ways you can spend money, because that's a lot easier than raising it. So I encourage you to do that, and thank you again for a great presentation.
Any other directors? I would also like to say fantastic on a sustainability club. I think you're the first ones that I've heard in our district that the students came out first and said, this is what we're going to do. And I think going to state also shows how you're very much interested in sustainability and what's needed in our culture, regarding that. Xander, Melody, Kareem, you did a good job, good presentation, good focus on ensuring that all students have t-shirts, have yearbooks, have school spirit, and gets involved and engaged in that school spirit and things to do within the school day. And don't worry about, not having enough to do. I'm sure you guys will find other things, activities to get involved in. I should have been at that Easter egg hunt. That would have been fun. That looked fun. So thank you so much for your presentation. Good job.
All right. Next, we have Megan Adams. If you could come up and introduce your students from Everett High School.
Hello, my name is Megan Adams, and I'm an ASB advisor at Everett High School, and I'm here with Eric Jennings, our amazing principal. We just, Barb Licknecker, our bookkeeper, who was also instrumental in this process, just had to leave. But I also wanted to say Ruth is just about the best partner we could ask for in this process. We could not do this without her. She is incredible and instrumental. and very patient and kind. So thank you, Ruth. I get to introduce two of our best and brightest, but also would be remiss to not mention Lily Thompson, who is our ASB treasurer and who worked on this process all the way up until she realized she would be competing at tennis districts today. She left today on the bus at 11. So send some Siegel love her way as she represents us right now. And so here with me is Emma Larson, who is our ASB president this year, and McKenna Lim, who is our incoming ASB president and will lead us into next year.
Hi, thank you again. My name is Emma Larson. I am this year's ASB president, and thank you for having us. We are really excited to be here. Today we're going to be presenting the Everett High School ASB budget for 2022-23 school year and highlighting the decision-making process we have used for budgeting as well as achievements with our clubs and sports and so on. As an overview, like I said before, we're going to discuss our planned ASB budget for the 2022-23 school year, which includes revenues, expenditures, breakdowns, and fund balance comparisons. We also plan to talk through budget development and our favorite part, Asb Snapshots, which like I said before, is about our clubs, sports, and their achievements and how proud we are of them.
Hi, thank you, Emma. My name is McKenna Lim. I will be the ASB president for Everett High next year, and I'm going to be going over the revenues, expenditures, everything about the budget. So first, we have our revenues. Of course, we have the total available resources we will have for next year. Our estimated is $742,186. You'll notice, of course, that it's much higher than the past 2 years, as every other school has said because of COVID. Of course, I am jealous of the past 2 years ASB advisors and students who got to present on Zoom. A lot easier to hold note cards in front of a screen. But now that COVID is over, of course, we can have more activities, and so we are expecting a lot more resources to be able to hold those activities. So for our expenditures, of course, again, it's going to exponentially change in the coming year because we will have more opportunities and no COVID restrictions at all, because this year we had a little bit. So next year we are expecting to spend $585,041, which will end our fund balance for the year following with $157,145. We weren't able to obviously do a lot of things during COVID, but this coming year, in addition to all the dances that we have held this year, we are hoping to create a lot more new traditions like the other schools are saying. We did a lot this year, and we will be in the following years now that COVID is no more.
Okay, so these charts even out the revenues and expenditures because we do our best to allocate funds to groups who have plans to give back the money through fundraising and so on. The yellow represents athletics, while the navy blue represents clubs with even distribution of funds. And again, we try our best to support clubs and sports evenly because we want to show that we serve our student body equally.
As you can see, in the coming year, the projected ending fund balance is considerably lower than this year. And this is because we chose to allocate more funds to groups for next year and allow them to spend the money that they're earning themselves.
Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the budget development, which will include Asb Budget Process, revenue distribution, and fair allocation of funds. With our Asb process for budgeting development, we ask questions such as, how many students does each group serve? What is their ability to fundraise? How do they contribute to our school culture? And do they need a helping hand to get off the ground? After answering each of these questions, it helps us move forward towards a fair decision-making process while budgeting. For our revenue distribution, you can see there's a huge jump from last year to this year's general revenues, and that's for a variety of reasons. Asb cards in 2021 to 2022 were sold 600 cards, 400 full of price, which is $45. And with the House Bill 1616, it has made our ultimate goal to really just market ASB cards and to get all types of students to have them understand the benefits of ASB cards. And our goal is to have 95% of our student body having an ASB card by December 1st of 2022. Yes. And then for our budget development for revenue distribution, we asked, do we have the extra money to give out? Looking at the requests of money, then we see the revenue source where we make the distribution decision. We send letters to advisors about their requests and let them know of how much was distributed. We also see that sometimes during the year there are special requests, such as our MLK assembly, where our guest was online and we weren't expecting that because of COVID. Sorry. So now we will be talking about our Asb Snapshots, which is, again, our favorite part, which includes major fundraising events, club events, and so on, such as Points of Pride. So Everett High School doesn't do a whole lot of fundraising. We do a lot of giving back to our community, not a lot of asking from our community. For example, with the food drive, due to COVID, we didn't really ask a lot from our community. We did a lot of using past year's money. We had a grant given to us by Safeway 2 years ago, and we were able to use that money this year by having the leadership program or just class go to Walmart, and we were able to use that money to buy feminine products, baby products, food, anything that VOA was requesting, because they are hands-on with people that are low housing. Also, we have some fundraising that we do is like our tailgate during homecoming. It's really important to us. Our clubs get to just express themselves and their culture and what they stand for, and it just gives an opportunity for students to come through and understand and maybe even join that club because they got interested in that club by being exposed to what they are doing.
Okay, so this is really exciting. These are all of our clubs, all of our events. As you can see in the top left, we do like to highlight our sports, but of course, we acknowledge that there are a lot of other things that people are interested under than athletics. So we like to recognize our drama team, the group with the yellow border around them. That is them at a picture when they were at state, and they are now going to nationals, which is really exciting. We also have our Makerspace Club in the bottom left, who bring a lot of creativity to our school. We really appreciate all the diversity of all of the activities at our school that include everyone. So our student body feels like every single person has somewhere where they feel like they belong. In addition, we have our CTSO clubs like HOSA, Wuxama, and of course DECA. We have a picture of them up there at internationals. In addition, we have our ROTC club at their home drill competition, and they never disappoint. They are very high performing, and of course they are really good at representing our school. Oh, and one of our favorite activities of the year, in the top right, you can see Vika, the winner of our school-wide rock, paper, scissors competition. Every single kid got a bead, and then if you lost, you had to give all your beads to the person you lost to. And at the end, one girl ended up with the beads. And this was a really cheap way to get every single student in the school involved in an activity. We also have community service projects. So as Emma was saying, we do like to give back to our community more than we ask from them. So we do hold things like the trunk or treat, which is the top right and the bottom left photo, clubs, activities, sports, graduating class groups. They make booths out of their cars and their trunks, and they dress up. And kids from the community, most likely future Seagulls, are coming in and getting candy and seeing all the high schoolers and all the fun that they're having, and hopefully looking forward to high school. And in the top left, we have our Winter Wonderland, which is when we decorate our entire school for the holidays. And
every single kid at Everett High or people in the community can come through. We have treats that we hand out and everyone can enjoy the lights for free. So that's really exciting. And then in the bottom right, of course, we have our food drive, which we are immensely proud of.
So for our points of pride, I just want to start off saying that last year I worked with the ASB group as vice president, and we rewrote our ASB constitution, which we made it gender neutral and more inclusive, which I was very proud of. A lot of work. Constitutions are horrible to look at for a long time. We were also, Sequoia made a really great point that Rotary gave them a grant for t-shirts. They did that. They did this to us as well. We were able to hand out e-t-shirts to every student, just starting off the school year strong with spirit and just pride. And we were really proud of that every student can have just some type of, what's it called? Inclusivity, yes. Also, I would like to acknowledge how every student's name on the first day of school, like leadership took time out of their summer to write every student's name on a seagull and put it on some type of hallway or locker in the A building. And as kids walked in, they were just welcomed with open arms saying, you belong here, your name is here, and you can find it, which I thought was really fun it's like a hide and go seek, or not hide, what is it called? Egg hunt, maybe? Yeah. Seagull hunt? Seagull hunt. Yeah. Also, so next for our future hopes and suggestions, honestly, my suggestion is starting, if you don't have already, student council. We were able to reintroduce our student council, which hasn't been around for many years. I'm not sure exactly how many, but for a while. And it just has given a great opening for students, representatives, club members, sports athletes, like anyone possible that wants to come in, to have an open floor, to be able to speak what they want to see at our school. It also gives an opportunity for everyone to stay in the loop, and it's not just leadership that knows everything or ASB that knows everything. It's everyone, because everyone should be involved and everyone should understand what's going on or give input on what they think should be possible. A big movement that we had to move to approve was we actually changed the alma mater, which is insane. It's been around for like 100,000 years. And our alma mater, we changed it to be more gender neutral and inclusive. Instead of Everett Man, we changed it to Everett Fan. For our fight song, instead of send our boys off, we said send our goals off. There was some controversy, but ultimately it moved to approve and it passed. And I thought that was just a great opportunity and a step forward for Everett. Oh, thank you. And homecoming court. We did the same thing as Cascade and Jackson. We made it more inclusive. We had 3 royalty. It was a boy and 2 girls, and Lily Thompson, actually, who was supposed to be here, was our queen or royalty. And it just made it more inclusive for students to not feel like they had to put a label on themselves, and to feel like they could have more winners instead of just 1 or 2 that had to be a boy or a girl, if they didn't even feel like a boy or a girl, so yeah. And thank you. Humans of EHS, we do on social media. It's a platform on Instagram that we honestly highlight any students that people send in through a QR code. And basically, if someone's during student councils has a QR code and fills out this tiny URL of a person they think should be on Humans of EHS, we acknowledge it, we interview them, and then they get posted. It's similar to Humans of New York, if you know what that is. And it's really awesome because we acknowledge the greatness of students and also teachers who might not be seen in the spotlight all the time. Thank you. Any questions?
I just want to say, let's give it a And McKenna, you did an outstanding job, and I will turn to my colleagues up here to ask for questions.
I have a couple comments, thanks. First, I just want to say to all the students in the room, everyone brought up the topic of new traditions, which I just really love. I think that I didn't realize in hindsight now, after 2 years of students not being in class, it was sort of a break, and it gave an opportunity to rethink what you were doing in the traditions you had and make new ones. And I just think that is so cool. I am a person who believes that there's always a little good in some of the bad, and you guys found it. So good job on that. And then in terms of just Everett High, I think people who know me, I have a bit of a soft spot. I had 2 students who went to Everett High. And so I had the opportunity to witness at a deeper level your community at your school and the giving back to your community, which you mentioned several times. And also just looking at your slides and improving the sense of belonging in the student body. I've witnessed it for years and years, and it's really special. And so I just wanted to thank you for highlighting that as well, and for bringing back the student council. Great idea. So excellent presentation. Thank you.
I would just like to congratulate you too on looking at your constitution and making those changes for gender neutrality and probably lots of other changes. That's something our school board policies we're trying to do too, is to be more inclusive. And I do think I heard every single permutation of inclusive in your presentation, but I heard it from the other 3 schools too. I think with everything that's going on in the country, to hear our Everett district students and being so inclusive and so welcoming of every student that's at your school, and all 4 high schools trying to reach every student, and how you guys want to have the goal of 95% ASB, and that's with your kids who are free and reduced lunch as well as the kids who can pay. I mean, just outstanding work by the 2 of you, and I know you were supposed to be 4. Great job, ladies, and or Everett students.
Directors, any other questions or comments? I also would like to say, Everett fan is great. That was really, that's cool. And bring home the seagulls, the gulls, you know, I like that. I really think you did an outstanding job. And I'm very, like Director Mitchell said, very happy about the fact that you're looking at 95% ASB cards for next year. All students, to make sure that every student has an ASB card. And that's a awesome, you know, trying to bring everybody into being engaged and involved in every activity. I also want to comment, you know, I noticed I did it for the other students, schools as well, but the focus in on 38% clubs and sports, athletics, so that it's even, even distribution of funds, because there are a lot of students who are not in athletics. Mm-hmm. And you still want to make sure that you're supporting every club, because it takes time and it takes involvement just to get those clubs up and running, and they bring in other students as well. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to, and I know it's on your schedule for next year, a drum line at Everett High School. Yes. So I'm hoping to see some more involvement there, and that also opens up the door to school spirit as well. So I'm a big supporter of the arts, music as well as arts. So thank you so much for you did an awesome job. Thank you.
President Lassane, before we move on, I would like to give a shout out and maybe a round of applause to all the advisors who worked with these students, all the principals and all the staff. Ruth Boyd.
They are awesome to work with. All right, unless you have anything else for me.
Can I, President Lessing, I just had one comment, and just the students were outstanding, but Ruth, I just want to thank you and your team for this. I will say just from personal experience, I've sat through a few of these, and just the way that you've handled 1660 across all of the high schools is commendable and honestly a model for our state. I've heard in certain presentations, districts refer to them as those 1660 kids that we have to deal with. And the fact that there was none of that here tonight, and the fact that all of our schools are on board to making it as inclusive as possible is so, so important. So I'm going to be holding this up to my colleagues as a model for the way things should be done, and just thank you for doing it.
Of course, it's led by the kids and the staff.
Thanks.
And I do want to say thank you, Ruth. You've done an outstanding job with these kids, and I really appreciate everything you've done and how you've really opened up our eyes to ASB, so much so that we've asked you, bring down the fund balance. So thank you so much for what you've done. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
That point of privilege.
Yes, excuse me, Dr. Salzman has a comment he'd like to make.
Before we go on a break, first of all, I think we could all sleep really well tonight knowing the amazing students we have in this community, and how people don't really know how amazing students we have, and thank you. And to our parents and our advisors, thank you. Thank you, because the kids were amazing. I just want to say, Ruth, thank you. Because Ruth Floyd is going to lead and be a chief financial officer. She's going to lead a district in finances. She's going to take on the next level into a major promotion. Well deserved. And we're not only going to miss you, but we're going to watch you and be so proud of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna miss this part. All right.
With that, we're going to take just a short 5-minute break. Please, 5 minutes. We'll start the clock right now. 5 minutes.
That's on YouTube, Miss.
Okay, thank you. Mic's on? I don't think he has the mics on.
You've been on the board.
Great. I call the meeting back to order. We'll now move to section 13.0, which is unfinished business, and there is no unfinished business scheduled for this meeting. That moves us to section 14.0, which is new business. The adoption of increased appropriation capital funds for fiscal year 21-22. And I will call Mr. Moore to the lectern. He's there at the lectern now. Mr. Moore.
Yes, thank you very much. We're excited tonight because this action here is an opportunity that has been presented to us because our community has supported us on passage of two significant issues, our educational programs levy and our capital projects levy. So this is just a brief presentation. The thing I'd like to point out before Mr. Darcy Walker comes up and then Ruth Floyd will be back for an encore performance is really about the capital projects fund and how it's unique from other funds. For capital projects, their projects are going not on a fiscal year basis, but they go over several years. And so often when they create the capital annual budget is taking a snapshot of one single year. So on August 24th, we adopted the capital projects for this year. And if you recall, we were still contemplating how much and what would be on a capital levy. So it didn't include some of the projects that our voters have so generously supported. So this particular action allows those projects to get an early start in essence. It is like a budget process, so it has been advertised both on April 26th and May 3rd. It does require that you open a public hearing. And with that, we'll give a brief description of what it includes, and I'll invite up Mr. Walker to do that. Oh, sorry, one last thing is we do this on occasion. We did it in 2015 and again in 2019 to make adjustments accordingly.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Greetings. I want to give a shout out to our ASB students. They were great, and their advisors. As Mr. Moore stated tonight, I'm going to give present the board a basis for the increase of $4 million in an appropriation to the capital fund, and then I'll also go through a brief list of projects that we would like to undertake given this appropriation. This is a time of celebration, and I want to thank our voters who supported the passage of the 2022 capital levy. With this funding, we can get going on some of those projects. As Mr. Moore mentioned, our 2021-22 capital budget did not include the capacity for these 2022 capital levy projects. Our current budget was developed last April, May, almost a year ago, long before the capital levy was voted upon. I also want to talk about a couple of other projects that are some really good news. So we always build in some capacity in our budget to undertake certain projects that might come along our way. A couple of those that are good news that I want to celebrate as well. One of them is the interactive flat panel displays that I think you were given a presentation on just 2 weeks ago. Yes. Those were originally thought to be simple classroom projector replacements, but as technology advances, we use some of our budget to cover the cost of putting flat panel displays in every classroom across our elementary school system. Another technology that we have, that our LITS department has rolled out to our classrooms in every elementary school is the teacher voice amplification system. Again, two really key technologies that will aid our student learning. So again, thank you to our voters for approving a $325.5 million capital levy. With this, we'd like to start work, basically design and pre-construction on Jackson Elementary School. So we're looking for a $2 million appropriation for that project. What we'd like to do is start by hiring an architect, get them under contract, start the design work, hire a geotechnical engineering firm to perform soil studies, hire a land surveyor, and hire a land use consultant to assist us in the land use planning and permitting. Also looking to start the security fencing at Cascade and Everett High Schools. That project's a $300,000 project. We're not planning on encircling those campuses with new fencing, but instead using ornamental fencing and installing ornamental fencing in strategic locations between buildings so that we're keeping vagrants and others from cutting through our campuses, thereby making them a little safer. We're also looking to start the Henry M. Jackson Clean Buildings Act project. It's new legislation that has recently come out. It requires that any building owner of buildings 50,000 square feet or larger undertake the certain modifications to those buildings to meet new energy standards. Jackson High School will be our first project in that Clean Buildings Act. It is greater than 220,000 square feet. This is a phased project in the law. So Jackson, we have to comply with the Clean Buildings Act by July 1 of 2026, which means that we have to have the project complete by 2025 so that we can have a year's worth of energy data to prove our compliance. And so we want to get going on that project. Another project that we'd like to undertake, it's actually currently included in the 2016 capital levy. It's funded by the 2016 capital levy. We're noticing that some of our security cameras across the district are beginning to fail. And instead of waiting until next year, when this was budgeted for, we'd like to bring this project forward and begin to replace those failing cameras, especially the exterior cameras. Of course, weather has an impact on those cameras. So we're asking for a total appropriation of $4 million. And with that, I will turn the presentation over to Ms. Floyd.
Thank you, Darcy. This is basically how the numbers break down, comparing the original adopted budget from 21-22 of beginning balance. We had anticipated that at $35.6 million. We actually came in at $43 million beginning fund balance this year. The revenues, we have not updated those. Expenditures, as Mr. Walker described, is an addition of $4 million in appropriations so that we can start on those projects that were listed. The anticipated ending fund balance for this year is revised then to be $24.3 million. And that is all I have for you. We are happy to answer any specific questions on the increased appropriation.
I just have one question. Because of my meeting with the Green Schools about the need for us to go not just carbon neutral, but also no natural gas by 2045, what's due and what we're going to do before 2025 or 2045 and 2050. What we're going to do before 2025, will that get us anywhere towards those ultimate goals of being carbon neutral and natural gas free?
I can tell you that we are looking at all kinds of technologies in our heating systems, for example, so one of the things we could do is ground source heat pumps. There are other technologies as well that would get us away from greenhouse gases. We are researching those and trying to figure out what those costs would be to go that route.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering if we have to make improvements by 2025 and there's something due at 2045, if we can get part of the way there, it might cost less, even though nothing will last 20 years.
Correct. There's another wrinkle to this. The state legislature is talking about increasing the energy use index every 5 years. So if we're in compliance in 2026, in 2031, there's a new compliance measure that we might have to meet. So how do we get there if we've put in technologies that may not get us there in 5 years? So we're looking at we're definitely looking at that.
So not just looking at 2025, but what are those requirements for the future?
Correct.
Thank you for that clarity.
Any further questions?
Just a kind of functional question, and based on this graph here, it seems like basically what we're doing is we're borrowing an advance $4 million from our fund, and then going to pay that back once we get the revenue from the levy. Is that the idea?
For those first three projects, yes,
Right,
that's the
okay.
case.
All right. I just want to make sure that we're not, spending money we don't have. And, if there's anything that I can't imagine a scenario where the levy wouldn't be collected, but, in such an event, is this an acceptable amount that we'd be willing to absorb as a loss? Say the levy, let's say there's a giant economic crash and we can't, like there's home values or nothing and we can't it. So, that's my only concern. And I just want to make sure functionally it all works out.
We're using those additional funds that we had from the beginning balance in those unmarked sources within the capital projects fund that are front funding that for now.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? At this particular time, thank you very much, Ms. Floyd and Mr. Darcy. I would like to say at this particular time, we need to make a motion to approve the adoption. We need to make a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 1275, which will increase the appropriation in the Capital Projects Fund. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Director Mason and seconded by Director Mitchell for a motion to approve the adoption of Resolution 1275. At this particular point in time, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye for yes. Okay, gotcha. Okay, right. A public hearing on the proposed resolution is hereby open. Dr. Salzman, are there any requests for comments from our public?
Madam Chair, Board of Directors, at this time there are none.
There are no requests for public comments. As there are no public comments requests, the public hearing on Resolution 1275 to increase the appropriation in the Capital Projects Fund is hereby closed. Board comments are now invited on the motion before us. Are there any comments on the motion? If there's no further discussion now, we will proceed to the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say no. Those abstaining, say abstain.
Please record mine as aye.
Okay. The motion carries. The Board of Directors now approves Resolution 1275, which will increase the appropriation in the Capital Projects Fund. Thank you very much. We'll now move to Section 15.0, which is upcoming agenda item. Dr. Salzman, what's planned for our upcoming agenda items and meetings?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Board of Directors, and the public. At the May 17th special meeting, the board will conduct the superintendent's evaluation. At the May 24th, 2022 meeting will contain the following: performance by the Jackson High School Orchestra, policy review, 2 first readings, P12 visual and performing arts adoption first reading, student representative selection, school board member terms, superintendent's contract, comprehensive annual financial report 2020-21, WIAA membership, library instructional materials surplus.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salzman. This will now move us to Section 16.0, which is executive closed sessions. There are no meetings. Did I hear something? There is no meeting scheduled for this meeting. We'll now move to section 17.0, which is adjournment. This concludes the business scheduled to come before the Board of Directors. This meeting is now adjourned.